Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. All right, there's never been a night quite like this. On Friday, November 15th, Netflix and Most Valuable Promotions bring you the highly anticipated boxing mega event of the year. Jake El Gallo Paul will go toe-to-toe in the ring against Iron Mike Tyson. For a long time, the baddest man on the planet. When a disruptor challenges a legend, anything can happen. Also that night, a historic rematch between the Brave Bomber, Katie Taylor, and Amanda the Real Deal Serrano. The last time they met in the ring, history was made. Women's boxing was catapulted to new heights. So these are the fights the world's been waiting for. Don't miss these epic showdowns. It is live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Watch Paul versus Tyson Friday, November 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, live on Netflix. You can also follow the road to the fight by watching Countdown, Paul versus Tyson, a 3-part documentary series beginning November 12th, only on Netflix. All right, Chad Millman is going to stop on by in about 10 minutes. That was a tough watch. Thursday Night Football, 26-18. Philadelphia played like crap in the first half and came back to win. Let's be honest, behind Saquon Barkley. Philadelphia is such a talented team, but I think what tonight honestly looked like, you're getting into week 10, week 11. It's a short week. Philadelphia looked tired. Philadelphia looked beat up. They looked tired. Division rivalry games are usually pretty physical. I think it's disturbing how Philadelphia, much better roster than Washington, couldn't get anything going in the first half. It wasn't until the last final drives when they kind of cut loose. You have to be a better football team than that. Eagles are 6-0 when Saquon Barkley rushes for 100+ yards. So he's completely changed the offense. Jalen Hurts, there were times tonight in the first half when Jalen Hurts missed A.J. Brown badly on like a 12, 15-yard out. He's just the savior of the offense. I find it remarkable. Nobody in the NFL loves to trade to their rivals. It's sort of a no-no. To me, as long as you're not trading like your best player. It is unbelievable. The New York Giants allowed, and it was the most predictable thing in the world, Saquon Barkley, their best player, by a lot, to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jesus. I mean, that's just not good GMing. And I don't know if the Giants are going to clean house, but that's the kind of thing that gets you fired. And Barkley's a remarkable player. What really cracks me up? The media overreacts to everything. And a lot of it is the media is much younger than it used to be. Is that the media, companies now don't have the money, especially traditional media. They're going to get young and cheap in the media. So a lot of times the media is 31 years old, 28 years old. Their reaction to stuff is like it's never happened before, but that's their life. I've been doing this so long now. And believe me, that's not a humble brag. It's sometimes I look at the media and I think, guys, it's everything's cyclical. I mean, virtually politics is cyclical. Everything is cyclical. Tech, the industry is not very old, but it feels cyclical. You get ups and downs. Everybody overreacts to everything. And earlier this year, or was it last year, the offseason, there was this big complaint that running backs are not getting paid. And it's like, take a deep breath. Safeties have never been paid. Tight ends have always been underpaid. Interior offensive linemen don't get paid unless you're the LA Rams. They pay theirs. Running backs are always going to be valuable because a running back is essential for a young quarterback, for instance. All quarterbacks are better. I mean, Jalen Hurts is not a kid anymore, but all quarterbacks are better with a good running back. Well, quarterback's the most essential piece in the league. Secondly, running backs, weather gets harsh, weather gets colder, it gets windier, November, December, January, running games become more essential. Not to mention, a running back is such a great piece, not just not just to set the tempo of a team, but when you lead, and good teams lead. And so a lot of times a running back, it eats up the clock. So good teams are always going to want a good running back. I mean, Philadelphia is a good team, excellent running back. Isaiah Pacheco, when he comes back, will be so valuable to the Kansas City Chiefs. James Cook for the Buffalo Bills has changed everything. Derrick Henry for the Ravens. I mean, look at Cincinnati, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Let Joe Mixon go. Bengals would die for a 12-play drive, 9 runs with Joe Mixon to keep their awful defense off the field. The Detroit Lions have 2 excellent running backs. So that this idea that running backs were going to, disappear into the ether, the reports, I said this on FS1, I said it multiple times, take a deep breath. There was always going to be a market for Austin Eckler. Washington's like, hey, we need you. You don't have to get 30 carries, but we need you. So there's excellent young running backs in the league, and Saquon Barkley is so valuable. This is a team that's good. They often play with the league, and he was like a closer tonight. Like, he was just so dependable late in the football game. I will say, if these are 2 of the best teams in the NFC, then the AFC is still superior to the NFC. But I also think Saquon Barkley, allows Jalen Hurts to throw less. In a 6-game winning streak, he's only had 2 turnovers. So Jalen Hurts can throw 22 times. He doesn't have to throw 34 times. So, and it frustrates me sometimes. And I see this in the political media, to the Trump election. Listen, the election was decided by 1,000,006 votes or something like that in a country of 350 million people. And you can see from the appointees, Trump is always going to be a polarizing personality and a polarizing president. He'll create great passion from the blue team. You go to the midterm elections, the Senate, the House, things change. It's just, nothing lasts forever. So running backs are very, very valuable. I also think, it's like in the NBA. Remember, it was the small ball league, and everybody got small. And then here comes Jokic, and here comes Giannis. And, the Boston Celtics are like, let's get a big, let's get Porzingis. And now, with the emergence of some of these young stars like a Wemby, you just have to have size. You just, in the NBA, you're just not going to win a championship. I mean, Julius Randle, see ya. We'll take Karl Anthony Towns. We need more size if we want to match up with Giannis, Embiid, and Porzingis in the East. It's amazing how many true big men. Anthony Davis is the best player on the Lakers. Giannis on Milwaukee. Jokic, Wemby. There's all sorts of good players. Chet Holmgren, such a good player for OKC. He's not as good as SGA, but a great player. So, one team, Minnesota, has been kind of reboot as a franchise before Karl Anthony Towns got traded, because they went and got Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. They went and got 2 centers. Everything over time either reemerges, emerges, regresses to the mean. Take a deep breath. It's all going to be okay. Are you struggling to find the right candidates? Well, good news. There's a place to go to get help. It's called ZipRecruiter. It does the work for you fast and easy. Right now, this second, you can try it for free. All you do is go to ZipRecruiter.com/Colin. It's the hiring site that employers trust the most, according to G2. So how quickly does ZipRecruiter work? Instantly. They have a powerful matching technology, helps you find the top talent fast, saves you time and money. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter, listen to this, 4 out of 5, get a quality candidate within the first day. So see for yourself. All you have to do it for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Colin. Right now. Free. Free. That's the same price as a perfect sunset. Try it. Free. Exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Colin. COLIN. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Really is. I also think what's happening, last weekend was a great weekend for underdogs. And I thought tonight, Washington, you couldn't figure the first half out. You looked at the stats. Washington never had the football. They had the football 11 minutes and they led. And it was one of these football games you're like, what's happening here? Philadelphia is so much better. Jacksonville, Minnesota last weekend. Minnesota was so much better. San Francisco and Tampa last week. I mean, go look at the box score in that game. So what you're finding is a lot of these superior football teams, they're injured, they're beat up, they're playing some backups, they're tired. A lot of the better football teams in the NFL, they have older players, players just out of their prime. Week 10, week 11, week 12. I let Philadelphia tonight. They just looked, they were a little tired, a little beat up, but they came back to beat an inferior roster, 26-18. Nick Sirianni, I still cannot get over. I don't believe they've scored on the opening drive this year. Offensive coach, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, good O-line. That's just odd to me. It's just Philadelphia is such a unique franchise. And maybe I'm loopy because this game put me to sleep, but they're the only franchise that makes constant coaching changes. You're never quite in love with a coach. And yet I think it's a top 5 organization in the NFL. Everybody else, like Kansas City, feels so stable. Baltimore feels so stable. Philadelphia is a little rocky and turbulent. I mean, how many coordinators have they had? I mean, they're on their 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years. They're constantly rotating through coordinators, coaches, a few years back, quarterbacks. But yet I don't see them like the New York Jets, the New York Giants as reactionary. I tend to think they're proactive. Smart owner, smart GM. I didn't love them firing Chip Kelly, but at the time I felt like Chip Kelly's got a winning record. But you know what? We found out in San Francisco, Chip's more of a college guy than a pro guy. So they knew something in the building that we didn't. Even though they went 10-6 first 2 years with pretty average quarterback play, they knew something. They saw something. Carson Wentz, they signed him to a big deal. And then they kind of moved off him. And you're thinking, what are you doing here? You just signed him to a big deal. They kind of knew something. They know things in the building. They keep it to themselves. And they react proactively, very strongly. And so Philadelphia, once again, I mean, this offense with Jalen Hurts has been one of two things: turnover prone and awful, or when Nick Sirianni moves back and lets his OC run things, excellent. There's nothing in between. It's either been, like right now, it's powerful. It's a powerful offense with a great O-line and Saquon Barkley. 6-0 are the Eagles when Saquon rushes for 100 or more. Completely changed the offense of Philadelphia. Forced to go rogue, hunted from within. This is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Developed by Treyarch and Raven, Black Ops 6 is a mind-bending narrative and unbound by the rules of engagement. This is signature Black Ops. Dynamic moment-to-moment gameplay, including a variety of play spaces, blockbuster set pieces, action-packed moments, high-stakes heists, cloak and dagger spy activity. Best-in-class multiplayer experience. You'll test your skills across 60 new maps at launch, including 12-core 6v6 maps and 4 strike maps that can only be played 2v2 or 6v6. Marking the epic return of round-based zombies, the fan-favorite mode where players will take down hordes of the undead in 2 brand new maps at launch. You can look forward to even more exciting maps and groundbreaking experiences, dropping into both multiplayer and zombies. So Call of Duty Black Ops 6, spy action thriller set in the 90s by the end of the Cold War, the rise of the U.S. as a single superpower. Head over to callofduty.com/Black Ops 6. Get in the game. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, available now.
Rated M for mature.
Listen, I like Jayden Daniels. And let's talk about this. But he's hit a bit of a rookie wall. And last year, C.J. Stroud had a 3-game stretch, and we all like him, where he completed 57% of his throws. So Jayden Daniels comes in, has a little Lamar Jackson feel. Nobody has any film. Nobody has any NFL film. I mean, you're kind of, okay, you go back and look at the LSU film. I mean, you don't know really what you get. And then Cliff Kingsbury with Jayden Daniels, brand new. So you get 4-5 weeks and you're like, oh, then they lose to a Baltimore. And they play Pittsburgh a couple of weeks later, and they lose to a Pittsburgh, and now they lose to a Philadelphia. So some teams, Washington I had as a wild card team coming into the season, some teams, it takes a while to figure them out. And I think more than any team in the NFL, that's Washington. They come in with a fastball. Nobody's seen it. Kingsbury's got a new offense and a new quarterback. And everybody's kind of you need more film. And then all of a sudden you kind of figure out what they are, what they're not. You see their offensive line, into the season, going into the season, we all said about the Commanders, don't know if I like the offensive line. They kind of fool people early, some smoke and mirrors. I mean, they're just picking up 7 yards a chunk, but they can't sustain it because they really don't have good enough. I like their running backs, but I mean, Terry McLaurin in the first half didn't even see a target. So people take Terry McLaurin out, and it's a pretty weak wide receiving crew, and it's a pretty average offensive line. And now everybody's got all the tape. And so I think he's going to be, I think Jayden Daniels has been a home run, rookie of the year, all that stuff. But this is the reality. CJ Stroud, hit a wall and had some games where, the game speeds up. The other thing is what happens is like a young quarterback maybe has a favorite receiver, maybe relies, more on a running back. And then people start getting dinged up in week 9 and 10 and 11. And now, Jayden Daniels doesn't have all the components he needs. And so, then Cliff Kingsbury has certain things he's not going to run, certain plays, certain sets. So, on insert day, and this is a short week anyway, you're limited on what you have. And I think that's what you're seeing. I think you're seeing a young quarterback, and it just steps. Everything for these young quarterbacks is steps. Bo Nix started slowly, but he has an offensive head coach, and one of the great ones in Sean Payton. He keeps getting better and better. Whereas the element of surprise, what the heck is Jayden Daniels? And you're guessing. And he's so electric and so athletic. He was picking up yards with his feet. Nothing quite like him. Looks a little like Lamar in the NFC. And now we're seeing people have a track. Doesn't mean, it's like a little bit like Lamar Jackson. I mean, Lamar's first full year starting MVP, but he would have trouble in some division games as teams in his division like Pittsburgh or Cincinnati had seen Lamar Jackson multiple times. Remember Lamar's first year, he comes in late, week 11. He beats the Chargers. Then he has to face them again in the playoffs, and he loses to the Chargers. I remember talking to Tom Telesco, the GM of the Chargers at the time, and he said, first time you face him, I mean, you just don't, you can watch all the film you want. You have no idea how fast he is, how twitchy he is, how quick he sees and thinks and reacts. And then the second time you face him, okay, we're going to take away this. That's his fastball. We're taking away that. Force him to go to his second and his third receiver. And then he's still tough to beat. But you can ask Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has struggled in his career. I don't think he's had a great record against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, they always have a good defense. They see him multiple times a year. They know all the tricks. And so I think Jayden Daniels will be a very effective quarterback for teams that don't face him a lot. But for a Philadelphia that's well run, good pieces that sees him twice a year, he may have, through the years, he may have trouble with the Eagles, but still love him. It's a really good quarterback class. A few years ago, we had the class with Jalen Hurts and Tua and Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. This quarterback class, J.J. McCarthy looked really, really good in the preseason, but he looked really good. And Bo Nix looks good. And Jayden Daniels looks good. And I do believe Caleb Williams will eventually get it right or closer to what he's going to be. He had a good 3-game stretch earlier this season. Caleb Williams was 74% completion percentage in 3 games. But again, now people are getting tape. Now they see what Caleb can't do. Then all of a sudden you have a wide receiver that's dinged up. Just steps, just a process. Jayden's going to be great. Okay, this weekend, there's some interesting things. Tonight, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Saturday, John Jones, UFC fight. Good weekend. Good. Anytime you can get a fight on a Friday and a Saturday into a big football weekend, excellent. Chad Millman's next.